Welcome to this explainer. Today we're taking a really fascinating journey into an ancient text, specifically Surah 13 of the Quran, also known as Ar-Ra'd. But we aren't going to look at this through the usual lens of centuries-old religious assumptions or theological debates. Instead, we're going to examine it purely through its own structural patterns. We're stripping away all that cultural baggage. We want to look at the literal mechanics of the words themselves, just to see what they actually reveal.
So I want you to start by asking yourself a fundamental question. What if this ancient text isn't a religion at all? What if it's literally a blueprint for systemic reality? I invite you to just unlearn what you think you know about ancient religious texts for a moment. What if instead of asking for blind faith, this text is actually demanding an intellectual recognition of how the universe literally operates?
Okay, let's dive into this paradigm shift. Because traditional religion, it's often characterized by magic, external rituals, and a reliance on random divine whim. But in stark contrast to that, what this text is actually presenting is a systemic reality, one governed by absolute laws, unbreakable mechanics, and strict cause and effect. It completely shifts the focus away from performing empty rituals and points directly toward an unyielding operating system that governs absolutely everything around us.
Section 1. The operating system of existence. You see, reality doesn't operate on chaotic, unpredictable forces. It runs on highly calibrated laws. We see this right away as the surah opens with this powerful statement. Raised the heavens without pillars, subjected the sun and the moon. He manages the command, he details the signs. The text is pointing directly to invisible, absolute structural forces. Think about gravity or systemic balance. It establishes that physical laws, like the specific orbits of the sun and the moon, are undeniable, predictable constants. It's a completely intricately detailed, managed system.
So the crucial point here is that you simply cannot bargain with reality. Just as you can't bargain with physical gravity, you can't bargain with the moral and psychological laws of cause and effect. The text demands an intellectual recognition of this predictable order. It's built entirely on dualities and balance, not random magic.
Section 2. The engine of internal change.
Having established the macrocosmos, let's move from the physical universe down into human psychology. Now, you might have actually heard this famous verse before. Indeed, Allah does not change what is in a people until they change what is in themselves. Traditionally, this is often preached as a religious doctrine, but in the structural context of this surah, it's presented as an absolute, mechanical law of human reality. It essentially dictates that external change is practically impossible without internal change preceding it.
Now, what's really interesting here is the specific term used, mu'akibat. It translates to the built-in tracking mechanisms of reality. These forces closely follow and execute logical consequences in succession. What this means is that the external conditions in a society are a direct mirror of our internal state. Until the internal paradigm shifts, these systemic tracking forces are just going to continue to deliver the exact same logical consequences, over and over again. Honestly, you can't cheat the tracking system.
Section 3. The true mechanics of thunder. So the surah is actually named Ar-Ra'd, which translates to the thunder. But we need to redefine what thunder actually signifies in this system. Ra'd isn't just a weather event here. It's described as glorifying its sustainer, but the text isn't giving us some fairy tale where thunder is chanting words out of piety. Rather, Ra'd is the acoustic roar of physical laws colliding and balancing in the skies. It glorifies simply by flawlessly executing its physical purpose in the atmosphere without fail.
And this concept of glorification comes from the word sabaha. It means to float, to move smoothly within a track, or to fulfill an assigned function without friction. Nature operates with absolute, frictionless compliance. The entire natural order is aligned with reality, quietly and perfectly doing its job, while the humans, we often waste our energy in superficial arguments about the nature of reality.
And this brilliantly illustrates a core theme of the text. The system is shadid al-mihal, which essentially means it has airtight, inescapable mechanics. You literally cannot argue with a lightning strike. You can't outsmart the laws of physics. The mechanics are severe and unyielding, meaning your only logical option is to align yourself with them rather than fighting against them.
Section 4. Substance versus superficial foam.
This brings us to the structural climax of our explainer. The text presents a magnificent parable that just completely strips away centuries of ritualistic clutter. Look at this profound analogy in verse 17. He sent down water from the sky, and the flood carried swelling foam. As for the foam, it goes as scum,
But as for what benefits people, it remains in the earth. The text compares this to metal being refined in a fire to extract jewelry or tools. In both cases, the rushing water and the heated ore, a swelling, useless foam rises to the top, while the pure, beneficial substance remains.
Think of the foam, or zabad, as falsehood. It's temporary, it's loud, it sits high up on the surface making a big scene, but honestly, it's empty air. It vanishes as useless scum. In stark contrast, the water, or purified metal, mayan fa'u, literally means what benefits humanity. This is truth. It has enduring stability. It's a fascinating critique of man-made religious systems that focus heavily on the loud, sectarian, rule-bound foam, while reality only values the quiet, enduring substance that actively brings objective benefit to human beings.
Let's move on and see how this builds. Because if we drop the foam, what does the substance actually look like in our real-world behavior? Well, the text lists the actions of those who align with reality. They maintain natural connections, they live with conscious awareness rather than blindness, they remain patient, they circulate what is provided to them rather than hoarding it, and they repel evil with good. Notice, this isn't some checklist of empty religious rituals. These are highly actionable, substantive traits of alignment with reality.
Section 5. Finding ultimate system equilibrium.
So what does this all mean? How does a human being find stability in a world that is so completely obsessed with superficial foam? The text gives us the exact formula in verse 28. Those who trust, and their hearts find rest in the dhikr of Allah. Indeed, by the dhikr of Allah, hearts find rest. This isn't framed as a mystical reward you have to wait until the afterlife to receive. It's presented as the direct, immediate mechanic for reaching a state of pristine consciousness right here and now, amidst all the chaos.
The specific word used here for hearts finding rest is tatma'innu. It means to settle, to become completely calm, to find equilibrium, and to rest securely anchored. Basically, true mental and spiritual health requires tuning your internal frequency to the ultimate reality, that dhikr, or conscious mindfulness, so that you can avoid being destabilized by the volatile, fleeting illusions of the world.
The ultimate takeaway from Surah 13 is that true equilibrium is found by anchoring your awareness directly into this systemic reality. When you do that, you dissolve all psychological friction. This ancient text masterfully strips away the need for human intermediaries, clerical controllers, and complex mythologies. It leaves you standing directly before the unyielding mechanics of existence, completely empowering you to choose enduring substance over vanishing scum.
So I leave you with this final, provocative thought to reflect on, based purely on the structural mechanics we've just explored together. As you look at your own ideological pursuits, your daily actions, and the world around you, will you align with reality, or will you spend your life chasing the foam?